Let's call this meeting to order, and we would like to recognize that this meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Lillooet Nation. I have an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. Moved and seconded, call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. No closed. So we will go to the consent agenda.
Which is just the minutes, approve the consent
It's
agenda.
all good?
Yep.
Okay, moved and seconded. Call question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Business arising from the minutes, I don't believe there is any. And staff reports and other business, CAO verbal update.
I don't have an update, but great to see you all here.
Thank you. Okay, information report. May 2024 select funds. I guess we have Suzanne or Colin.
Yeah.
Hello, Paula.
And you've got Jen and. Yeah.
Oh, and hello, Jen.
Hey, Chair.
Yeah, hi, Colin.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Is there any questions on the select funds? Any questions for the general select?
General select, the balance is sitting at 5,600
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. Wow, that's
low.
kind of getting down there, isn't it? And
But we have that commitment for the Coast Cascades Grizzly Bear Initiative. That's not till 2025. So that 5,000 is still available. And you have that portal identification for $10,000 area C that you never touch. You have
Yeah.
some signs about grizzly bears.
yeah, Colin, so should we have a bigger balance in that general select funds? Just to make us all feel better?
I mean, the amount that's allocated is based on the BC Hydro bill policy, so we'd have to review that policy once allocated next year. But if you wanted, there are those amounts that Vivian identified that haven't been spent yet, so maybe those you'd put back into a fund if they're not going to be spent.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that because yeah, I don't know, I guess it's all right, but it just seems that if we wanted to use anything for any, well, for like 10,000, we don't have it there. Can we bring money in from elsewhere to top this up, or does that have to go through the budget process?
I'm not sure. I have to talk to Suzanne on that one, but I will say that for this year, since the Grizzly Bear Initiative $5,000 isn't for 2024, that funding would be available to spend this year. It's just shown on the report because of future allocation. And same with the portal identification. If we know we're not going to spend it in 2024, then those funds would be available to be spent because we would have next year's BC tilt allocation.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. Okay, so everybody's good with that portion. How about area A? Did Sal mention anything about his select funds here?
He didn't, no, he didn't express any concerns, so I
Okay.
think he's good with this.
And what about you, Vivian? You all right with yours?
Well, area B, yeah, the only thing that I see is the lunches, they could be lumped together, that fund for lunches. And there's 150 and then farther down there's 600. And we spent a good chunk of it at the recent Agricultural Advisory Committee meeting, which was a great success. So they'll draw on that 600. I just have a note here. Yeah, I have lots coming up That's gonna reduce that balance. But nope, everything is fine for general select area B.
Okay, and I'm good with mine. How about, Paul, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Paul
I
mentioned
haven't had
anything
feedback
about
from-
his, select funds?
I haven't had feedback from it was kind of the last thing I had to cover.
Technical difficulties. Can you run that by us again? It was a lot of static.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
That's a bit better. Okay. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to talk to Tony about that in advance of the meeting. So I
okay,
didn't get feedback from him on that.
I'm sure everything's all right here,
Okay.
so,
Would you like a motion to receive?
yes, please.
Okay, so moved.
Moved and seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, here's the exciting.
Okay, request for decision, Canada Community Building Fund, previously Gaslax Fund, Community Works Fund, CWF, project funding request. So that would be recommended to the regional board that up to 30,000 be allocated to the Braylorn Water Service. Cost center 2703 from Area A Community Works Funds towards the purchase and install of new water meters. That up to 26,000 be allocated to the Braylorn Sewer Service, cost center 2,800 from Area A Community Works Funds towards the cost of capital upgrades for the Braylorn sewer system. And that up to 160,000 be allocated to the Furry Creek Sewer Service, cost center 2,801 from Area D Community Works Funds towards the purchase and install of a new headworks auger. And that up to 75,000 be allocated to the Britannia Beach Sewer Service, cost center 2,802 from Area D Community Works Funds towards the purchase and install of a new headworks auger. So can we move those all together? Okay. You want to move?
Do I want to move? Yes,
There's two for you.
there's two for me.
Yeah.
But sorry, did you say we were moving them all
We
together?
can move them all together, but so,
I'm happy to move that, but does Paula want to?
yeah. And you're okay with moving your two for your area?
Yes.
Okay. So moved and seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
May I ask a couple questions about this fund? First of all, this is not how I want to spend the community works fund, but a request came to me like yesterday. Lillooet Agriculture and Foods has a really wonderful partnership with Booklemuck Garden. Last year, I don't know, they did 40,000 pounds of produce out to the farmers market and community and so forth. And this year they've got this little building on the reserve where they could have a sort of food storage security prep operation going on right beside the garden. But as part of that, they need to bring some electricity in, and Hydro's given them a quota of $50,000 for 3 poles to be put in. So it doesn't sit well with me to spend that money on that from this fund, but I was asked, and we're looking at other options, and we've managed to find the community liaison who actually has the title of BC Hydro Relations with Ticket Band. So we're working on that, and there's other possibilities, but my question is that an appropriate use of this fund in the event that we wanted to do that?
That's for Colin.
Yes. Or I see Kim there, but I guess we don't have Suzanne. Colin, please.
Off the top of my head, I think it would be eligible. I will say that we are waiting on the new CWF agreement, which is expected sometime this year. So any decision now would be based on the previous agreement, and we're not sure when the new agreement will be beginning. So I can review that and email you offline, Vivian, just confirming that that is eligible, but I would probably also, there's a chance we receive that new agreement in the upcoming few months, and that might change the eligibility requirements.
I think there's a lot more appropriate ways to approach that, and I just wanted to have that in my back pocket, so yeah, if you do a little footwork and let me know, I'd appreciate it. I also saw in this report how the Community Works Fund is working, and I thought there's some terms of reference for the EAD there that we were talking about. I have, okay, let me find the exact reference. Give me a second. Okay, when we look at the category, it's called long-term infrastructure plans, including transportation plans, I guess that means infrastructure, development plans, liquid waste, solid waste, water conservation, drought management contingency plans, air quality plans, GHG reduction plans, energy conservation plans. So I've been trying to do some sort of blue sky thinking with some of the people in the area, because we've got a very successful wildfire roundtable happening with all the sectors represented, and that's facilitated by Fraser Basin. Good Statlium participation, good communities involvement. We also have Lillooet Regional Invasive Species Society working with Statlium and doing like some groundbreaking research on post-fire recovery on the land. Like in Area B, I don't have infrastructure. I don't have sewers and water systems and so on, but we have the land. That's kind of where people grow things and harvest trees and mule deer and all of that. And I'm wondering if we can look at some kind of land planning under that umbrella of long-term infrastructure plans, where we can do some like big thinking in Area B in terms of energy conservation, water conservation, drought prevention, response, like that. Is that kind of thinking using those anchor groups and involving, you know, the people on the land, the territories, the bands, does that fit under long-term infrastructure plan? So that's another kind of homework question, if you don't mind, Colin, to just bounce it with UBCM. If not, we could do some of that planning out of payment in lieu of taxes money, but then could we use some of these funds to implement the plan, to employ some people and do some of that work? So yeah, I know that's not the kind of typical use of this money, but that would be fantastic in Area B.
Yeah, I can look into that. I do know in the past, I've seen wording around the long-term infrastructure planning. They want it to be tied to a capital project. So there just usually needs to be that link. But I can do some additional research and let them know.
Sorry, I didn't get what you said. It was just a little bit warbled.
I said that often they want to see the long-term infrastructure plans tied to a capital project down the road.
Okay.
So there's some, they look for that link sometimes, but I'll do some additional research and I'll get back.
And I could work on defining that. I could sort of talk to these groups and so on, because all of a sudden the district of Lillooet, after a SILGA presentation about, they had a talk from Tom Flanagan. He's the Australian guy. He's really brilliant on wildfire and wildfire recovery. He wrote a book and he spoke at SILGA, and I think it kind of fired up a couple of the councillors from Lillooet that were there about the severity of what's happening on the land and the fires. And this is a new world in climate change, and Area B is living it. Like we've just had some massive destruction from the wildfires. A is also in the same boat. Sal would probably be pretty interested in this too. But if the district is interested, then we might have a really cool partnership to work there at the table, working with these sort of two stallion groups that are already operational, linking it. I'll try and get some sort of a definition of where we would like to go with it, like the end point, and that would be helpful, right?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions. I'm really excited about that, actually.
Okay,
Yep.
7.4. Request for decision, electoral area A zoning and OCP bylaw amendments. Braylorn Adventure Lodge, first reading. That it be recommended to the regional board that bylaw number 1862-2024, cited as the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Electoral Area A zoning bylaw number 670, 1999, amendment bylaw number 1862-2024, be introduced and read a first time. Should I read all of that before we?
We
Okay.
can pass all of them together.
Okay, we can, okay, I'll read them. That bylaw number 1863-2024, cited as Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Upper Bridge River Valley Official Community Plan bylaw number 608, amendment bylaw number 1863-2024, be introduced and read the first time. That bylaw number 1862-2024 and bylaw number 1863-2024 be referred to the appropriate First Nations, provincial agencies, including Interior Health Authority, Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Strategy, and Ministry of Transportation Infrastructure for comment. That the board authorize the discharge of covenant KC 24964 and the replacement of this covenant with another covenant that reflects the flood construction level recommendations set out in the technical memorandum prepared by PK Reed Engineering Limited dated September the 7th, 2022. So is there any questions on any of those? Alex, are you gonna just talk to us on this if we would like to hear from you?
Yes,
Hey,
so
before
thank you.
Before we go anywhere, just a compliment to you from Mike Morley at Ponderosa for being an excellent person to work with. So good for you. Anyways, carry on.
Okay. So thank you, Chair Alex Mackay, planner with the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. I'm happy to give a full presentation or take questions. I'll leave it to the EAD to provide some direction there. Would you like a staff presentation or just would you like me to respond to questions?
Wow, this is hard because this is a lot and Sal is way more familiar with this. What have you guys, you've been more involved with this? Do you want a presentation or do you have specific questions?
If it's beneficial to you, let's do it.
Yeah, I don't want to take a whole bunch of anyone's time, but
We got time.
I'd love to hear
Yeah.
a bit from you, please.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So for anyone that would like to follow along, the staff report starts on your agenda package, page 39. So this is a zoning and official community plan amendment application that we received. It's for 128 Lawrence Street, which is in Area A in Braylorn. And the application is to bring an existing tourist commercial use into compliance with zoning, and they're also looking to expand their year-round commercial uses on the parcel. So the property itself is 4.47 hectares. It's currently zoned RR2 in the zoning bylaw, so that's Rural Resource 2. And under the OCP, it's designated residential and resource management, so it's got a split designation there. So the property itself is bounded by two roads. There's Lillooet Pioneer Road to the north, and then a Forest Service Road to the south. The current access is off of the FSR, and there's some existing driveways that traverse surrounding parcels. So what we've worked with the applicant to propose is that all of the circulation for the tourist commercial uses be internal to the parcel. So they'll come off of Knoll Creek FSR and all the driveways will be internal. Anything else will be decommissioned. In terms of servicing, the property itself and the lodge, or the current residential building on the property, are connected to the existing sewer and water system. The SLRD did recently upgrade the sewer system in Braylorn, and that is stubbed at the property line for this parcel. And so we will be requiring that if this was to be considered for third reading and ultimately for adoption, that the applicant does connect to that new sewer system and decommission the existing connection. The property itself is constrained by a couple of riparian assessment areas. So there's a creek, there's Blackbird Creek, which runs roughly north-south through the property. And then to the south of the parcel, there's Cadwallader Creek. And so both of those affect the property in terms of the riparian area setbacks. I do want to mention.
The emergency alert going on. Sorry.
Okay,
All
no
our
problem.
phone buzzing.
Okay, I could hear that. I wasn't sure. So any new proposed development is proposed to be located outside of the riparian assessment areas. There was a new technical memorandum prepared by a consultant, by a geotechnical engineer on behalf of the applicant, and that provides a site level assessment. The current flood construction level is covenanted at 1.5 meters on the parcel, but that technical memorandum indicates that it's safe to reduce that to 0.6 meters. So that's also part of the consideration here. In terms of what's being proposed, so there's an existing, as I said, a residential building, a single family dwelling on the parcel. It's currently being operated as Braylorn Adventure Lodge. They do have zoning to have a bed and breakfast, which that would fall under, but they haven't completed their change of use permit. So they will need to do that in order to bring that existing use into compliance. In terms of new development that's proposed, they would like to do up to 8 new accommodation units. Those are standalone cabins that will be serviced. They'll have washroom and kitchen facilities, and each of those would be up to 325 square feet. They would like the option to use those both potentially for employee housing for BC Hydro workers working in Area A, as well as for future tourist accommodation use. In addition, they want to add a common facility, which would be a 2-story building on the property that would contain a garage, an accessory dwelling unit for a caretaker unit, so that there would always be someone living on the property when it's being occupied by guests, and also some common washroom facilities in there. And then they would require some additional parking and driveway development, as I previously mentioned. Okay, so I'll just jump into the policy analysis piece. So this proposal is consistent with the existing Upper Bridge River Valley Official Community Plan, which generally supports commercial development being located within Braylorn and Goldbridge. This proposal would see the applicable property redesignated from that residential and resource management designation in the OCP to commercial, where tourist accommodation is a permitted use. In terms of the amendments to the zoning bylaw, we're proposing that we rezone from that RR2 zone to a site-specific zone C7 Tourist Commercial 7. That would have 2 new permitted uses and then 4 of the existing permitted uses maintained as follows. So the new ones would be the 8 rental guest cabins and accessory dwelling unit to allow for the caretaker unit. The ones that are going to be maintained, the uses would be single family dwelling, bed and breakfast to cover off the lodge building, campground, accessory buildings, and accessory uses. And so what staff have been working on with the applicant is to determine, they wanted some flexibility in terms of where those cabins are ultimately going to be located, particularly if they're built in phases. So we've identified a polygon area of the parcel, which you'll see on the following page. That's page 46 of your package. This is an area that's outside of the riparian assessment areas, and it's an area of the parcel that can be serviced by that existing sewer and water infrastructure. So that's the area in which new development would be permitted under the proposed zoning. There are 3 conditions that would need to be met in order for the project to proceed. Some of these conditions have to be met before the board could contemplate giving third reading and ultimately adoption to the zoning and OCP amendments. And some will need to be done before any building permits could be issued for the property. So the first of those, as I mentioned, is the servicing piece. Before third reading can be considered by the board, the applicants will be required to disconnect the existing sewer connection and connect into the new system. There is a covenant on the property, which is currently stipulating that for a construction level of 1.5 meters. We would like permission, we're recommending permission be given to discharge that covenant and replace it with the one that is consistent with the revised technical memorandum that was submitted. At the time of this report, they haven't yet prepared the covenant document, so the recommendation is set out to allow staff to work with the applicant on getting those that legal piece done. And that replacement covenant would need to be in place before we could consider issuing building permits. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, the existing building, while it does meet the permitted uses under zoning, under bed and breakfast, they do need to go through the change of use permit process, and that's to ensure that that structure meets the building code requirements to be used for tourist accommodation. So I think I will leave it there. All of the recommendations have already been read, so I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, it's a very thorough report. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very, very good. Shall we can move all of these in one go then? So would you like to move it? Seconded?
Sure.
Okay. Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, this is the,
Have a board meeting there. Now that I know there's washrooms and kitchens in the cabin, when I looked at the picture, it looks like just a room with a bed in it and, whoa, a shared kitchen. So now I know more. Just waiting.
yeah,
Anderson Lake Park, okay,
Waiting for Allison.
excellent.
hello, Allison and Omar. Good morning, how are you?
Back to Playfair and others.
Okay, where am I? Oh,
7.4, no, 7.5.
There you go. On that one, right?
here?
Yeah.
So good morning, you two. So Allison, this is exciting.
Yes,
We're moving.
this is happening. Morning, Allison McDonald, Parks and Trails Coordinator. Yes, I'm excited to present this update report, which includes a draft management plan, a draft layout, and information on the work we've been doing on this park at Seton Portage on the shore of Anderson Lake. So I'm not sure if you would like a report or you just want to ask questions with regard to this update.
I love a report, and I've read your report and I really appreciate this.
Okay. This project has been in the work for a long time. We spent 2 years trying to get tenure on half of it, which we received in 2022. Back in 2018, we actually met with the community director. Belsham and I went up to Seton Portage and met with the community to talk about our plans for this park, and it's been a few years, but what we heard from the community at that time was minimal changes to this lovely piece of land, just updating the facilities that are there, providing some picnic tables, and protecting the 2 house pit sites, which are located on the site. Throughout the process, we've been guided by the Shalath administration, who have met with us on many occasions and helped us work through the details. Along with the Seton Portage Chamber of Commerce, Lillooet Regional Invasive Species Society, and others. After engaging with the landscape architect, they provided us with this plan, which is included with your report, that sets out our the draft layout of the plan, and the management plan sets out our goals for the site. Next step will be a community consultation phase, which is beginning now. We've got a get involved, webpage ready to go, and Director Birch Jones and I will be, and along with Eleanor will be up in Seton Portage on May 19th to meet with the community and have a community consultation day. Following that, we're going to take all the recommendations back to our working group and back to the board for final approval, and with any luck, begin construction in October of this year.
So my question on the 19th, that's, the time for that is, I've just got down midday.
10:30 till 2:30. We'll be on site at 10:30 and we'll see how it goes.
So 10:30 to 2:30. And that's gonna be at the, across from the pub at the
That's right.
motel.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
little Tem hotel,
Yeah.
there's like a gazebo, so we'll
Yeah.
set up there with our tent.
You're not, cool.
And Shalath had that gazebo constructed specifically for like a community gathering. It's beside their hotel.
Yeah.
Just across from the pub, like you say, it's a perfect place. And it's within walking distance from the shuttle, which I'm gonna try and take down that day. I'm booked. The Lillooet Chamber of Commerce, Johannes and his new employee Mara, and I don't know her last name, but anyway, pardon? Stewart. Thank you, have organized to get on the Seton shuttle, which will be on its regular run, running between 9 and 10 in the morning. You could take this train.
Okay.
I mean, unless there's rocks on the tracks or something, but we have backup vehicles if we need to drive over the mountain. And so the Lillooet Chamber is going to meet with the Seton Chamber, who have a meeting at lunchtime that very same day, and they're planning on joining the outreach session after their meeting. So that's really convenient that all those chamber members are associated. And you've also been in touch with Shalath that are okay with the date and don't have other things scheduled. It is, like, I recognize for staff are coming up in the middle of a long weekend, which is pretty fantastic. It's been such a long process, and the chief and council have changed that Shalath in the interim more than once. So I really like it that we're kind of doing this quality control check with the current players and getting some more feedback, and thank you.
So they're still all on board then?
They are on board. We had a site meeting a few months ago and really great turnout from administration, chief and council. Some details, like I haven't heard a ton of feedback about the plan. There may be something that comes up this week, but I think in general, they very much support the project.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be like, I'm looking at it from my and Darcy end, because this park will get access from people who put their boats in the water and they head down there to go fishing, whatever. And will they be able to go ashore there, like run their boats up on the beach or anything like that?
There won't be a boat launch or a dock,
No, but
but for smaller craft, yeah, there's enough. There's enough landing.
there's enough beach space, like you're not landing on the rocks.
There's sort of a gentle but rocky
Yeah.
beach
Yeah,
there. I think that, so this was Mickey Macrae, right?
yeah.
That's too bad that he won't be at the opening.
Yeah.
The,
Well, maybe it will be.
we'll consider he's there. There was a dock in the original plan.
There was, that met with quite a bit of opposition, I think, from Shalath.
I
So
think
it was-
that, yeah, so that's okay. That was dropped really early. But it's in a cultural sense, really fantastic, and you get some of that from the report because there, that was obviously an important site for Shalath or the people of the lake, the Crane Buell. And those two sheepskins are going to be protected, and there'll be some educational signage around that. we're going to have to get a lot of feedback from Shalath about what they want on the signage. And I know you've got some work done already. But before you make any signs, let's please get the full blessing. With the Naturalist Society, I've made so many mistakes with signs over the years. It's like we're taking extra time and getting everyone's blessing. But it's right beside an old cemetery and it's really a beautiful little spot with some really nice old growth. And, you know, there's some talk about making better bat habitat, and like the bat habitat is already fantastic the way it is, but we can put up a bat house and do a sign about bats. I could certainly help with that. And I'm really pleased that we're making some progress on this. And I don't think I had any more specific questions, just to maybe acknowledge the territory in the poster and just coincidentally, we had an education coordinator at another meeting I was at from Shalath who volunteered to help put the poster up around. So I thought, thank you. Some feet on the ground there. She'll know where to post it. She seemed really keen. And so-
Should the Quad Club, have they been engaged in this at all?
That's a good question.
Yeah, just because, you know, they tell me that's their lake and blah, blah, blah. And I know they obviously use that lake
Yeah.
for fishing and all that stuff. That end of the lake would definitely be a good spot for fishing right at the river mouth there, right?
Oh, yeah. I was
So-
thinking salmon, the sockeye.
Yeah, and I mean, the salmon go right up the lake and spawn in Gates Creek and throughout the area. Yeah. You almost second guess yourself thinking, should we or shouldn't we? Because that might open up a whole nother can of worms, right?
Well, I think it's better to do it ahead.
Yeah,
And maybe Shalath could give us some guidance on that.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Cause I know Chief Harry O'Donoghue, previous chief, now times he's very, very instrumental in their fisheries programs and all that stuff over the years. He might have some insight into that.
And then maybe the only other sort of detail in my mind that's floating around is Lillooet Regional Invasive Species Society was there and they've done a plan. They're keen to be involved. They did set up a training and work session. I think if it was COVID or just not people being available, but it didn't happen. But Jackie's keen now. I think we're missing the opening in terms of the spring work. However, if we're gonna have some machinery in there and do some work in the fall, that's a good time too. But just that Elris needs a bit of lead time to work with Shalath. They've got a bit of a team there that does work with them, but like their schedules are crazy busy and booked way ahead. So whenever that gets finalized, and then naming it, we'll just have to see what the community feedback is and I have another note here. Make sure we're not removing. I can't read the rest of the note. Okay.
You can tell.
Oh, I know with the machinery in the small field there, yeah, not to be removing any of the valuable shrubs that are like food for people or wildlife, but you already know this. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
I want
You
you
just
to receive this report, yeah.
Okay, motion
So
received, seconded,
Seconded.
okay.
And
Seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried.
I look forward to seeing you on the 19th.
So, Omar,
Bring my
question for you.
binoculars.
Are you driving up there?
Yes, yeah.
That's
Highlight.
You're doing the highlight.
Guy thing.
Yeah.
I get dizzy, I get car sick, so.
Oh, that's right. I made him car sick. at
I'll
home.
drive. Can I get picked up at the gas station or right at the new,
Sure.
community center there? And I'll go with you guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what time you're gonna go through there at like 9 o'clock?
Probably, well, I'll send you a.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Fun.
Thank you, and if you want me to drive, I can do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think originally there was gonna be something else going on that same day, but, oh, I know, fire smarting. Doug Bondi was trying to link in, and he didn't think it was a good idea, there was too much going on, and I
Yeah.
said, no, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
But it turned out he was already committed to be in Area A for another event.
It's a
which
trade
was-
show that weekend?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right, so. Still, yeah, hooray, it's a beautiful little spot,
Yeah, very nice.
thank you.
Okay, 8.1, Director's Reports, Scholarship for Coast Mountain Academy, Director Rainbow. That the sum of $2,000 be granted to Coast Mountain Academy for scholarship and or bursary purposes with funds from EAD Select Funds. The recipients will be selected by the school in consultation with EAD Director. Paula, you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, so moved,
Second.
seconded. Call question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Wonderful. Correspondence for action, 9.1, request for funding, Hope Mountain Center for Outdoor Learning, Wildlife Mitigation Training and Education. HMCOL requests funding of $500 for delivering wildlife mitigation training and education. So where's that coming from?
Area A.
Area A?
That's us, yeah.
Select funds. like-
That's
Yeah.
select,
Yes, I believe so.
okay. You'll move it,
I'll move that.
seconded. Okay, moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried.
I thought, why are we getting this from Hope, but Lydia Coot, I see her name here, and she lived in Lillooet for years, she's very connected with those.
She's very connected with Area A and has done work there before. Yeah.
Okay, 9.2, request for funding, Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce, 2024 spay and neuter program. Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce requests funding of $2,000 from Area B Select Funds to support spay and neuter program.
Yeah, I'd like to move that.
Okay,
I just had a question, sorry, when do I ask?
do.
So I see this is from the District Chamber of Commerce, but has the Shalaf band weighed in on this at all? So that,
The Seton Chamber in the past, because I checked that the last time they asked, work with Shalaf on this.
I mean, and it says they're working in collaboration,
It
but
does.
because it's coming from the District Chamber of Commerce, it felt a bit, I don't know, it didn't feel like there was maybe as much, maybe there's consultation happening, but you would have thought that the letter came from both.
And it hasn't in the past either.
Okay. It was just a question and I don't have any problem. I just wanted to raise that.
No, it's a really good question, and maybe we can just ensure. I will do that. Cause I'm talking to Steve all the time, especially as we're getting ready for the May 19th event. But in fact, in the last funding, which goes back about 5 or 6 years, they did have agreement when I initially provided the funds, and then they didn't spend them, and that was because actually they were taking some time talking about how it was gonna be spent with Shalat. There were some changes. That's partly why I'm a bit cautious about signage and things. It's like, check it, let's check it again and check it again. So I'll make sure that they understand that. And they're also working with Lillooet Animal Advocacy Society. However, this money is specifically aimed at Seton Portage area. So I can move it. It's just been moved, right? Okay.
moved and seconded.
Okay.
Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. 9.3, request for funding, Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce, 2024 Canada Day celebrations. Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce requests funding of $1,500 from Area B Select Funds to support the 2024 Canada Day celebrations event in Seton Portage.
And I'd like to move
I
that.
had a question about that one too. Sorry. Canada Day, do we know how the Shalaf community feels about a Canada Day celebration, a funded Canada Day celebration?
It's also a brilliant question. Usually they work together on this. I think last year it was pretty successful, but I can include that in my conversation with Steve, and I probably should have done it ahead of time. Well, thank you, Karen. Because I'm assuming, which is a mistake, that we're still working together like we have previously, so, yep, I'll check it, but I'd like to move it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the chair, just wanted to say, I've made a note that when letters like this come in and they say they're working in partnership with something or someone, specifically the Indigenous communities around them, that we,
Confirm that.
part of our process would be to confirm that and encourage letters of support for it, that to be accompanied with the letter.
Yeah, and I could have done a little better footwork on this, if these ones were
And staff we can
somewhat
look at that.
routine. But yeah, but no, I'm making the assumption that it's been done the way it's been done before, and that's a mistake. So yeah, as a quality control check before it gets to for the agenda, I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure I wanna impose writing more support letters on these bands, like they just get hammered with requests for support letters, but to make sure, like through the applicant or through my own research or the area director or the staff, to confirm that before we vote on it, I think that's a good idea.
But you could do that in a verbal with them,
I certainly
and
could.
they could just say, yeah, we're good, whatever, that's all.
Yeah, that should have been done, but yes,
Yeah.
noted.
Just so that you've confirmed.
And then there's another one. Oh, we have to vote on this one though,
Okay,
right?
yeah, so moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, call a question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. 9.4, request for funding Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce 2024 Valley Day celebrations. Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce requests funding of $750 from Area B Select Funds to support the second annual celebrations of Valley Day on Sunday, August the 4th.
And along this lines, I'll move this.
Yeah.
I also know they've had successful celebrations on this day, Valley Day. They certainly did last year, working alongside Shalaf, but it's another one that deserves checking, and I'll do that. Part of the reason these are coming in a little late and together is because we missed a couple of other funding opportunities this year. These would have been obvious candidates for fabulous festivals with Northern Development Initiative Trust, but by the time that they requested through that avenue, all those funds had been spent. And these would have also qualified for Lillooet Foundation, but they missed the timeline on that one too. They're gonna do better next year. It's our plan. Okay.
Okay, so you've moved it, seconded. Okay, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Now, 9.5, request for funding, Lillooet Regional Invasive Species Society, funding for increasing or unexpected costs. LRISS requests funding of $2,500 from Area B and $2,500 from Area A and Area B, for a total of $5,000 to address increasing and unexpected expenses. And that's for 2024, obviously.
Yeah, this is this year. I'm fine with it because I am so impressed with the work they have going on and more to come. I don't know, I didn't ask
Area
Sarah.
A is fine with this as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
so moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. 9.6, request for funding, Lillooet Regional Invasive Species Society, LRISS, Educational School Activities Area B. LRSS requests funding of $5,000 to cover costs associated with educational activities and resources in the Area B schools for 2024.
Yep, I'd like to move this. Last year, Elvis was really in the schools. I was just looking at the AGM, they said how many kids they managed to reach. They've got, I think, 19 in their letter of application, with 19 sessions to all of the schools and the field trips. And at the AGM, they were really showcasing this. It was pretty nice to see all those children, mostly outside.
Yeah. So moved and seconded. Call question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Wonderful.
Thank
Request
you.
for funding, Signal Hill Elementary School grade 7 year-end camping trip. Now, their fundraising goal is 25,000.
It's a little rich.
And then when I read it, I went, okay, well, they're not saying, but anyways, so what I would like to do is put $2,000 of Area C select funds towards their school camping trip.
I'll second that.
Okay, and so moved and seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Now we do 9.8, request for funding Yellowcombe Valley Community Society firefighting equipment. Yellowcombe Valley Community Society requests funding of $14,230.35 from Area B select funds for the purchase of mobile firefighting equipment. I read their list and everything, and that looks really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and that company too is very
That's the company that
In
Darren
Alberta.
Oitie recommended
Yeah.
that they go with.
Yeah.
And so,
they're good.
yeah, he's kind of gold. So
Yeah, they're really good people to deal with.
thank you. All right, then I'm happy to move this.
Okay, I'll second it. Everybody's good?
Yep.
Okay, so moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. 9.9, request for funding, Mizaki House Society celebrating cultural diversity program. Mizaki House Society requests funding of $5,000 to support their celebrating cultural diversity program. Now, and that's from Area
B,
B, obviously.
yep. So I'll move $5,000 from Area B select funds to support Miyazaki House Society for their celebrating cultural diversity program.
Yeah, moved and seconded then?
Yeah.
Okay,
They did great work last year.
yeah, moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Yeah, that looks
It's pretty fun.
really interesting, yeah.
Also, the Miyazaki House has received, they're working with the Japanese Canadian Society, and they've just received, I think, $400,000 to help work on fixing up that house and doing.
It looks really nice.
And then, so we've got our grant writer working on leveraging some of that money for some more money, and I may be asked to help with some of the costs of the roof. We'll see where they go, but
Yeah,
it's delightful to see that beautiful old place
Yes.
getting, some life. And we had our agricultural advisory committee meeting there.
so where is that located, in downtown Lillooet?
Right behind the post office.
Okay,
So when you're going, there's the post office and there's the lane behind, and very convenient. The hub is right beside the post office, and there's a back entrance exit for the hub, and across the lane, Miyazaki House. So they can conveniently share resources and extend events out that way and work with each other. It's really
Yeah, nice.
It's beautiful, yeah.
okay. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now, request for funding 9.10. Request for funding Lillooet Nation 2024 rodeo sponsorship. Lillooet Nation requests funding in the form of sponsorship for the annual Lillooet Nation rodeo on the May long weekend.
Oh,
And this is a cultural event, folks.
it's great.
So I'd like to put $2,000 from Area C select funds towards the Lillooet Nation rodeo.
Nice, second?
Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Yeah, that's,
I went many years ago.
I went when I was, I think, 10 years old the first time, and it was a rodeo. Oh, yeah, it was amazing. Anyways. Okay, 10, correspondence for information. Lillooet Animal Advocate Society year-end report, October, December 2023. Would you like to speak to that?
Sure, this is a new group and they've had a couple of very busy, very successful years and they're working well. For example, they're working with the Seton and Portage group and they're working with our local vet and they're doing outreach onto the First Nations communities. So they're growing incredibly dedicated volunteers. When I provided some funding to them in 2023, we asked for a report on how the money was spent and here's a very good detailed report. And so I know we'll be getting another request for this year, but they're also looking all over for other funds and they're doing quite well. Yeah, just a motion to receive.
Yeah, thank you. So move to second it, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you for that. Decision on additional late business.
Tony's.
Late business. Director's report, Britannia Mine Museum event equipment. Director Rainbow. That the sum of $5,000 be granted to Britannia Mine Museum with funds coming from the EAD Select Funds towards specialty equipment for the 2024 BC Provincial Mine Rescue Competition. Sounds very good. Do you want to move that, Paul?
Yeah, I'll move this one forward.
Okay, and I'll second it. Any discussion on this? Nope. Sounds like a great event anyways. So, move to second it, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Director's notice of motion. Nope. Where's Tony when we need him?
In Tony's absence, I'd like to move that we adjourn
Very good.
and wish Tony the best.
Good. Second it,
We do have to say.
call the question, all in favor, anybody
No,
opposed to that?
I
Okay.
want to talk more about the community works funds and area